So you've been busy. You've learned how all the tools work, built some houses, provided your villagers with food and water. You've been cutting wood like an absolute champ. And you've been processing it and selling it, making money and taxing the living daylights out of your villagers. I know why you're here. You want more. Let me help you open that second trade route and farm some wool. This is Foundation, and I am Lord Bara. This is a perfect location in the village of Boring. It's not too far away, and it should be just big enough to have a nice little sheep farm. To unlock sheep farms, go to Clothing in the progression page, under the Common Path. You'll need 50 gold and a prosperity of 10. And this will grant you 3 new buildings. The sheep farm, the weaver, and the tailor. This is a brand new production chain. I'll go through it step by step. The first thing that you'll probably need to do is purchase some new territory. Sheep farms are actually quite large, so make sure you've got enough space. When you're ready, go to the build menu, and under Goods Production, you can find the sheep farm. And as you can see, the sheep farm produces wool. The main thing to note here is that the sheep farm will cost you 3 gold as an ongoing cost in order to operate it. All production buildings and monuments have costs like this, so make sure before you build it, you've got enough money to cover that ongoing cost. Now that the sheep farm's built, you're going to need 2 villagers. Let me just pop on over to the village centre and see if anybody's available. Now that we've got 2 sheep farmers, we're going to need an area for them to work in. Click Paint Pasture to define the sheep farm area. Keep an eye on the field size. This will tell you if the field is too big or too small for the amount of people that you've got working there. There we go. It's just right. You may be thinking to yourself, now that I've built my sheep farm, I can start producing some wool. And you're not wrong, but Foundation isn't about getting to the finish line. It's more about the process. And the sheep, well, they start out as baby sheep. You can even watch them grow up into big fluffy sheep. So you're going to have a little bit of time before you get your hands on that precious wool. While that's happening, why don't we work on the rest of the production chain? You remember, we had 2 additional buildings. If you go back to the build menu and under Goods Production, you'll find the weaver's hut and the tailor's workshop. Find a nice spot in your town where you can put these buildings. Not too far away from the sheep farm and not too far away from where your villagers live. Just imagine you were a tailor living in your village. Villagers don't like to live too far away from where they work. Well, would you? So I've picked out the perfect location, which is not too far away from the sheep farm and also quite close to where the tailor works. And the weaver's hut can live just here. And there's plenty of housing around it. Once the weaver hut is built, don't forget that it also needs villagers to work in it. If you look closely, it does say that this building is suited for a commoner, but serfs will do just fine, at least for now. The tailor's workshop needs 3 villagers. And it also tells you that the tailor's workshop is best suited for a citizen. Commoners and citizens have a lot more needs than serfs. And unless you understand production chains like the back of your hand, serfs will do just fine. Now that your production chain is set up, let's explore it. Your sheep farm produces wool, and they take it to the weaver's hut. The weaver's hut turn the wool into cloth, and the tailor will collect that cloth from the weaver's hut and turn it into clothes. Each one of these resources can be used. The wool can be used for quests, the cloth is a building material, and the cloth can be used by the villagers and sold to other towns for profit. If you want to sell it to other towns, you'll need to store it in a warehouse. And if you want to sell it to your villagers, you'll need to assign it to a market stall. So this is a 4-part production chain. Let's first look at how you sell clothes to another town. This will generate income for you and you'll need the warehouse. You might not have enough space in your warehouse to store cloth, and you can build another warehouse, or you can purchase the extension in the progression page. And this will unlock the ability to build an extension in the warehouse, like this. You can't build it too far away from the warehouse that it's associated with, and it will add 4 additional spaces for you to store 4 more items. Like I said, you don't have to do it this way, but it is more efficient to have 8 items in one warehouse and 4 villagers employed to manage all of the transportation. Unless you have an item assigned in a warehouse, you cannot sell it to another town. It's an important step, so don't forget it. I'm going to put wool, cloth and clothes as items in this warehouse, and I'll be left with 1 additional space. Next, let's have a look at how we sell clothes in the market. Clothes, you should know, are goods. Find your village market and click Edit Building. You will be able to select which stall you want to place down. In this case, I can only place down food stalls. If I go to the progression page, I'll find the goods market here, and I can unlock and get some new items to build. There it is, the goods stall. It works in exactly the same way as the food stall, except it only sells goods. Goods are only purchased by villagers who have been promoted to commoner or citizen status, or if they're militiamen and clergy. So if you haven't promoted any serfs, you don't need to sell any goods in your town. You're still going to need a villager to work on the market stall that sells the goods, and luckily I have one extra in the village already. To assign clothes, simply click on the drop down and pick clothes. In case you didn't know, the market stalls can stock a maximum of 10 items. When those 10 items are all sold, the market trader will go and collect more items and bring it back to the store. Sometimes that's a problem because villagers are waiting, and they can get upset when they don't have what they need. But now that we're also making cloth, we can add a cloth covering to each stall, and we can increase the maximum capacity that each stall can hold. All you need to do is edit the building again and attach a nice fancy coloured roof covering, whichever you desire. In the resource list at the top of the screen, you'll be able to see how many clothes you have and where they are. The pop-up told me that there was 13 in storage, and lo and behold, it's right. If you want to see icons pop up in your village to show you where they are, just right-click on the resource. Now that I have more than 20 clothes stored in the warehouse, I can open up the new trade route. If I go to the Royal Book, click on Trade Routes, you'll be able to see that middle is available to open, and it'll cost 20 clothes. I'll be able to sell lots of things to middle: clothes, berry brew, fish. I'll need to store fish and berry brew in the granary that I've already built to store and sell meat to the Northbury trade route. And finally, don't forget that the resource page is where you assign which resources you want to buy and sell. So, for example, if I find clothes, I can select to sell clothes, and I want to always have a store of at least 50 in the town. I'll do the same for berry brew. And why not fish while I'm here? And you can see that I've already been selling meat, but I think I'd like to store a bit more of that in my town, so I'm going to increase it to 50. So that way I'll never have less than 50 meat stored. Well, that's all I've got to say on the subject of sheep. I hope it helped and you found something useful. And I'll just say, if you have been, thanks for watching, thanks for listening. If you have been, leave a like, or let me know how you feel about sheep in the comments. This has been Foundation, and I have been Lord Bara.